The Ukrainian club that does not exist was the coolest club in the world before the war. Let me tell you why. First, the name. The name of this club is actually a backwards capital E with a line through it, which is a mathematical symbol, which means it does not exist. No one knows how to pronounce this, so the club tends to be known by its address, which is 41 Kirillivska Street, which then gets abbreviated to K41. I first went to K41 the first time I went to Ukraine in the summer of 2021. Basically, I wanted a holiday from the pandemic, and I just experienced a very long extended lockdown in London, which then got extended by a month, and I was just like, okay, F this, I'm out of here. I want to go somewhere where they don't have restrictions. So I came to Kyiv on the recommendation of a Ukrainian friend. Now, this club is very hard to get into. Lots of my friends in Kyiv have tried to get in and failed, even though they're super cool people and beautifully dressed. However, my Ukrainian friend in London set me up to have dinner with a nude model in Kyiv who told me exactly how to get into the club. She told me what time to turn up, what to wear, what to say when I arrived, and then I sailed straight through. I'm not going to tell you what she said, but the most important thing to know was the rules of the club. So this club has a bunch of rules, which are things like no racism, no homophobia, no transphobia, no judgment, and so on. And you need to know these things to get through the front door. When I heard those rules, I thought, okay, well, they make sense, but I didn't feel that they were particularly designed to protect me because I didn't happen to fall into any of those minority groups that they're about. But actually, the moment I stepped inside the club, I felt the importance of the rules because it was immediately obvious to me that no one cared what I looked like and no one cared how I acted once I got inside the club, so long as I wasn't invading anyone's personal space without their consent. Now, we can't film inside the club because no one's ever allowed to and no one will, so I'll have to describe it to you, but it's an epic space. I've been to Berghain in Berlin. This is something on a different level. So, of course, you have a standard dance floor, but then you also have this enormous staircase at the back where people hang out and smoke. You have these awesome sort of circular pits upstairs, which are the smoking area where you can kind of lounge out and even sleep, I guess, if you want to. I've seen people do that. You have a bar that sells like vegan protein shakes and vegan sushi, which I love. And then you have this seating area, which is this huge metal ring, which is on a pendulum attached to a ceiling about 5 floors above. So it moves, but incredibly slowly. And you have to crawl along the floor and climb up inside to get onto it. It's completely wild. It even has a dance floor that's open since I last went there that I haven't even seen yet. I was there on a Saturday night, and I was planning on leaving at around 8 in the morning on Sunday. And I should say that I was not on anything. I don't do substances, and I barely drink. So I was really just running on adrenaline at this point. And just when I was considering leaving, a couple of people said, oh, the terrace opens at 10 a.m., which was in 2 hours' time. And then I kept on saying, okay, what's the terrace? I was trying to work out if it was worth staying awake for another 2 hours to see this thing. And they wouldn't really describe it to me. And then I just calculated, I'd been working nonstop for 6 months. This was my first time partying with strangers. I could afford to lose a day of productivity the following day just to find out what this terrace thing was. So I hung around until 10 a.m. And then at 10 a.m., there is an enormous metal door which slid open. And suddenly we went from being hours inside this industrial space that's closed off from sunlight to being blasted with the Kyiv summer sun. And on the terrace, there were these steps from the ground up to the sky where people were dancing, and people are dressed like they're at Burning Man, all these amazingly attractive people with beautiful tattoos and colorful costumes. And they were just covering this thing, enjoying themselves. It was insane. It was like something out of a Paolo Sorrentino film, who's a favorite director of mine, who directed films like Grande Bellezza and others, except that it was actually better than anything I'd seen in a film. And an incredible thing about this is that, of course, no one's documented this. Like, you had to be there to see it because no one's allowed to take phones in. Part of what makes people feel so comfortable there is that they know that no one's going to film them, no one's going to judge them, so people can really be themselves and do what they want. And so if you have to see this, you have to go there and experience it for yourself. Now, in the second week of the invasion of Ukraine, I organized a projection project in London, broadcasting messages from friends in the country. And one of the images I projected was just a sign that said, I miss E, where E is that backwards E with a line through it, the mathematical symbol referring to this club. And this went viral. It got reposted by various Ukrainian DJs. And the reason I made this post is because I feel that it is also partially a political statement. Obviously, Ukrainians are fighting for their home, they're fighting for their territory, and they're fighting for their own survival. But partially as well, Ukrainians are fighting to be in a liberal democracy that allows a club like this to exist, as opposed to living in an authoritarian regime where these things are suppressed. So when this war is over, I urge you to come to Kyiv and visit K41. Just make sure you know the rules. If you like this video, like and share so that other people can discover it, and subscribe and turn on notifications so that you can see new releases when they come out. And if you'd like to pay for my travel into a war zone, support Operation Tiggy on Patreon. I'm also hiring a local team, so this creates employment in a country that's had its economy badly hit by the war.